2 years since MAM, now here I go again. 2 confined innocent men in a 10 by 10. Fates, oh, now the men deserve. But fear breeds silence in Manitowoc. You don't say nothing cause you know you're cops. But someone knows something, yet everyone plays ball. I say we round them all up. Let's brain fingerprint them all. Everything about the case was suspicious. I hope the Biden teeth of justice is so vicious. For those who bred the lie, they temporarily preserve. From timing to typos to Brendan's so-called confession, to the fact that Peterson was out of town when she went missing. How can we forget Eddie Sam William Henry Cole? I say we round them all up. Let's brain fingerprint them all. So much planted evidence now anyone can see. The magic bullet and blood in the RAP. And even evidence that defies gravity. The key that turned up 7 searches later with none of her DNA at all. Let's brain fingerprint them all. I say we round them all up. Let's brain fingerprint them all. Who's pulling strings? I want to know that top rank. For those who pay attention, all the unbanked stank. And those that are smiling, they always knew who would take the fall. I say we round them all up. Let's brain fingerprint them all. I say we round them all up. Let's brain fingerprint them all.
All right. That's Stacy Seabrook, of course. Everybody who doesn't know, that's Stacy Seabrook. He does a fine job making very, very great songs, in my opinion, about MAM and Making a Murder, Stephen Avery, Brendan Dassey. Listen to the lyrics. That guy, you know, the lyrics come from the hours he's spent on Reddit and the hours he's spent going through trial, you know, documents and investigation documents, and the lyrics come straight from that. So that's why we love him so much over on this channel. And so that's, make sure you check him out. I'm sure my mods will be posting his channel links here in the chat for you if you haven't already discovered him. So today's an interesting day, I think, to say the least. And I think I saw Travis say earlier, to call it interesting is kind of not really the word for it. You said it's disingenuous. I do love that word, disingenuous, by the way. So, but yeah. So, anyways, we have this filing from Zellner today where she's number one, you know, pointing out that the state has said in the past that they have that hip bone, which is number 8675. You know, evidence numbers for those that want to track it through the ledgers and through wherever else. But she's pointing out that they have been saying they have it, yet the ledger shows they gave it back, or it went to the Whiting Funeral Home, essentially, which means ultimately back to the Hall box. And so which is it? It can't be both, you know. So it's going to be interesting. And if they actually do have it, that is going to be interesting, because if you do have it, then why were you reporting that you'd given it back to the Hall box? Right? I mean, that just seems kind of odd. that you would be doing that. So no matter what, they're kind of in a spot right now where explaining this is going to be an interesting thing to watch. Personally, in my opinion, when if we eventually get to the point where the state has to start explaining themselves on this, because we know they made no attempt to do that in their response to this motion. I mean, they didn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole.
No, they stuck strictly with procedure. You're absolutely right. You know, they made a big gamble, and so now they've had 2 piles of poop dumped in their lap. First supplement, now this second supplement, and you know, you just can't make this stuff up.
Mm-hmm. It's, I mean, wild. I mean, like Denise was saying, you know, when do you think Mark Williams found out?
Williams, folks. That's Williams. That's English. No relation here. I don't know if my camera's not working or what's going on, but I had a prop.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
But, you know, mine ends S-O-N. It's Scottish. And so, yeah, no, Mark Williams, that's a different guy. So just wanted to clear that up before we went any further. But sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
But yeah, so
Amos,
when do you think Mark Williams realized who he called? Do you think he realized it maybe just after when he hung up and went, wait, what number is that? Or do you think he realized when Zellner filed her filing today and he read it?
You know, we all have email where, you know, it plays a message. No, I don't think he realized it at all, because if you catch it in time, it'll, you know, if it gives you the prompts, it'll say, are you satisfied with your message? Press 1 if you want to keep it. Press 2 for priority delivery. You know, press 3 to re-record. And so if he had caught it in time, you know, 3 or whatever number, pound, and
delete.
This was a total mistake. Disregard. I think he realized it when Tiffany got a copy of it by email, and she forwarded it to him and said, can you elaborate on this?
Yeah. Oh, it's funny. I mean, you just when you think, you know, that the well's got to be running dry on the state, looking like idiots, and then here it comes out in spades again. You know, it's just, you know, stronger than ever. It's so funny. I just, you know, it's just, I mean, it continues to happen. It just continues to happen. I just don't know. To me, that's an indication of something. To me, that's not just a harmless thing. That stuff continues to come out. That's, you know, throw an egg on the face of the state. You know, when things continue to come out that way, there's usually a reason why. So I'm gonna leave it at that and let people connect their own dots.
Yeah, you've got a few questions up there you might want to hit. We'll go into the next thing.
Okay. So Angelica Fisher says, did they want the voicemail box to be logged as evidence to portray that they are surprised? Could they be this dumb? It's mind blowing.
No, I did assuming, and again, Kathleen, you know, does what a good lawyer does. She states the fact and then advocates what she thinks those facts mean. That's what a good ethical advocate does. And no one has ever accused her of misstating the facts or what she really has. Nobody ever in this case that I've seen. So I have fairly high confidence that she quoted the voicemail message verbatim, word for word.
Right.
And so, no, nobody's going to get fired, or no bar complaint. No one's going to get suspended or lose their bar license. What that
I would imagine Mark Williams is going to find it pretty uncomfortable in the office for a while.
Well, now that's a different matter, but in terms of this being, illegal, or, what she did it to show is that if this is a continuation of the charade of concealment and her terms, and
Charade of concealment.
Charade of concealment. And what she's showing here is that she gave him an opportunity to come right out and say, hey, no, we've got them. They're right here, no problem. But instead, she's showing the court this is how they operate.
Right.
They want to continue the charade of concealment.
I'm the one stopping up the process.
Yeah, let's not talk to her. I would suggest you don't get back to her. And you brought this up. We brought it up, you and I, on December 28th. We talked about that. Were they trying to drag the appeal out because they'd gotten wind that Judge Angie was getting antsy and was just, ready to issue that order denying everything without a evidentiary hearing, and they were dragging her out. And then, I remember saying, if that turns out to be the case, that Kathleen, can play that game also. But no, I in response to Angelica's question, I think she's locking them in, and she's showing what rule book they play by.
Yeah, I think she's got them pinned down pretty freaking nicely at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, they're if they still have the bones. Let's remember what the ultimate goal is for
right, exactly.
It's not to get Brendan out of prison. It's not to get him a new trial. The goal of this, that's what the goal of the appeal is. The goal of this motion, one goal, get an evidentiary hearing to figure out what the heck happened with these bones.
Right.
And then get that issue consolidated with all the other issues that are pending.
Right.
And, then proceed on and try and get him a new trial. But, one thing is
satisfies, what's it called? What's it thing versus Arizona? If it satisfies that triggers a retrial. That will trigger a retrial, right?
Right. But before, so Youngblood versus Arizona,
yes.
Bad faith, and then there's a
which I think she's showing a lot of bad faith at this point.
Right, but she's not showing bad faith at this point to try and ultimately win the motion, because the motion, the Youngblood or the evidentiary statute cannot be decided without first fact-finding going on.
Mm-hmm.
And because the Court of Appeals can't fact-find.
Right.
Tracy's really good at explaining this. So
that's something I understand because I listened to her. So, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's just, you got these mileposts that you have to establish. And the first step is, you've got to get it in a posture where, first step is you got to get it in a posture where it's appealable and the Court of Appeals will look at it. So to get to that, you need to hit the second step, and that's to have an evidentiary hearing where you can have fact finding.
Right.
And you can, yeah, it may very well turn out to be that there was bad faith on this stuff. But until you can get, the appropriate witnesses on there and get their testimony under oath, then from there you get the circuit court judge to make a determination. Does this fall under the preservation statute? If there was a violation of the preservation statute, what's the remedy? Because this is what we call a case of first impression in Wisconsin. Apparently, they've never had a published decision.
I think this bunch of clowns clearly thinks that they're worried it meets it. The way that they're acting, because the way they've tried to hide this, the way that they've tried to hide all these things that they've done with this biological evidence, and the way they haven't turned over the pages that show that they were doing this. They haven't turned over the new ledger that has the entries that show that they gave these things back. I mean, that's two different places where they didn't show what they were doing. And I mean, for me, being in two different places is significant. To me, that shows more, that it was more deliberate, in my opinion, for them to hide.
But I agree. I think so. What's the goal? Get it to an evidentiary hearing. And what does she show with these supplements? That we don't know what the heck is going on with these bones, and that you can't trust anything. On the one hand, it says that they were returned to Whiting Funeral Home,
right?
And then presumably, ultimately, the Hell Box. And we don't know if they were cremated or buried. And then the supplement shows, hey, whoa, they apparently gave these bones away, and they've created this charade of concealment,
right?
And so now she's showing. Wait a minute, we had worked out an agreement. To test these very bones microscopically, not DNA, microscopically, a year ago.
Right.
And we had worked out this deal, and she got specific about it. We were going to give up a couple of claims in our brief, and we were going to do this, and we were going to do that. And lo and behold, he's offering me, hey, if you forego these two claims, we'll let you do all the testing. So they're starting to proceed with that. And so yesterday she says, hey, what's going on? What's interesting? I asked her 3 times yesterday a question. Why? I said, I understand 8675 is mentioned in these notes as being returned to the Hallback family. But what I'd like to know is, why did you mention 8675 in your motion in December for testing the bones, but 8675 is missing from your current motion?
Mm-hmm.
And, she didn't answer it. And I understand why now. Because she was, she's in the middle of waiting to hear back. It didn't, escape her, but like a good, credible lawyer, it's the way good lawyers deal with each other. It's, well, I'm going to call them directly and find out what's up with this. Yeah. And then when she found out that they were playing games with her, hey, I would recommend, don't call her. Don't act like a professional. Mm-hmm. Don't do a professional courtesy to another lawyer. And be honest and forthcoming about evidence. Right. And, don't do that. Just don't return her call. Yeah. And so, yeah, no, it's very problematic. But the goal here, what she wants by her motion, not to get Stephen out of jail. It's not to free Stephen. It's the first step in a process to ultimately get him a new trial. And the only step is to get an evidentiary hearing on this issue with regard to these. That's it. And she's done very well on her own. And then, you know, the state keeps helping her, you know,
so
push her forward.
Vanessa Overton is asking about, how does this call affect the filing once the courts process this legally? Like, I guess, is that how the call matters? The call only matters in showing the judges that the state is basically just choosing to treat I guess carelessly with her. You know, that they're just being they're not being upfront, and they're not being, like you said, professional.
It's one more straw to show that there's a need for an evidentiary hearing.
Right. So it's okay. So it's just one more brick in the wall. Okay. Let's see here. He realized it when he was escorted out of the building with the contents of his desk. Let's see, man. When I read Casey's submission today, my jaw just dropped. Yeah. Let's see. Either they are completely stupid or a game to legally draw the case out more to buy time. They feared Stephen's violation of rights could lead to his freedom. How does this proceed legally? So I think we were just discussing that. Basically, she needs to get to an evidentiary hearing. That's where she's trying to get. And then at the evidentiary hearing, they need to be able to meet the requirements of Youngblood versus Arizona. And if they basically, which means they need to show bad faith by the state. And that's probably going to be the biggest hurdle she faces. But if she can satisfy Youngblood versus Arizona, that means Stephen gets a new trial. So that's, you know, if that doesn't happen, all this shady stuff goes and gets packaged up, and it gets globbed onto the current appeal that she's actually trying to stay and remand at the moment, so that this can get remanded back to this, so that she can hopefully get an evidentiary hearing. And what, you know, so it's confusing back and forth all over the place. But basically, she's trying to right now get a hearing that will allow Stephen to get a new trial. And even if she doesn't get the new trial, the information she is collecting becomes part of the appeal and moves forward.
Yeah, so, you know, it is confusing, but it doesn't need to be. So she's got this motion for post-conviction relief, which you and I have been going through. And, you know, there's several issues, but, you know, there's ineffective assistance of counsel, there's Brady, there's prosecutorial misconduct, there's new evidence. So she got all of these issues over here in the motion. And then a while back, she found some new material that, you know, she said was new to her. And that's this little piggy over here. That's the computer evidence. And she said, hey, I should be able to bring up Brady under this computer evidence. And Judge Angie said, no, you've done it too late. And it went up to the Court of Appeals, where the case is now. And they said, no, we're gonna hold on to the jurisdiction of the case, but we're going to send it back for the limited issue to figure out if there's some sort of Brady violation with the computer disk. Judge Angie rules, no, you don't get a hearing on that either. I don't find any violation. And so that issue, this piggy, the issue on the computer disk, that then went up to the Court of Appeals with the other issues she's got going. So now she's got all of these issues going at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
What this is now is she said, okay, I've got this other issue over here in addition to the 5. I found out that there may be a young blood violation and or a preservation statute issue with these bones. And I want to stay and remand this issue to go back to the district court so fact finding can be done.
Mm-hmm.
The district court can rule on it. If the district court grants it, all bets are off. That means a new trial's granted. These bones will never be tested, probably. If she denies it, then that issue is going to be with all the other
added
piggies.
to all the other issues on appeal right now. Right.
Yeah. Roast beef, none, wee all the way home. All of those are going to be consolidated into.
So, yeah. So, Vanessa Overton. So, to answer your question, so this call will drag this out longer, right? Than if it never happened. I don't know. I don't really go along with that reasoning because here's the thing. This call is only going to speed up and possibly give Stephen the oomph he needs to get the evidentiary hearing finally, to where Zellner is going to be able to get into court. So that's what it's going to create. And if he can argue in that evidentiary hearing, if Zellner can argue effectively and she wins and proves the violation of the statute or whatever and triggers a retrial, that's the quickest route. That is the quickest route, if that's possible.
Well said.
So, well, no, hold on. Let me just and so I'm pointing out how quickly that could lead to a retrial, which is what we want. Or if she's not able to get the retrial and it gets denied at the after the evidentiary hearing and all that stuff, but all that fact finding gets brought back and added to the current appeal, and then she gets to take all the stuff that Travis and I are pointing out to all of you guys in the MPCR, the videos we've been making recently. We just did the ineffective assistance of counsel section the last couple days. All those issues, plus the CD, which happened recently. That's now added to that thing. And then this issue of them lying about the bones and whatever and all that stuff, that would then go and add to all that big bundle of issues. And then she would move forward with the appeal. But she's adding everything in now because that's the way the state of Wisconsin likes to see it, folks. They want everything to be done together. They want to, that it's like we talked about judicial efficiency or judicial budgeting, I think is one of the words that Travis used and stuff like that. It's about, it's meant to try to streamline the court's time. It's meant to try to motivate lawyers to get all their ducks in a row and get everything together as quickly as they can so that they try to bring it all together in one. And so that's why she's right now discovering these things and going, okay, let's remand this to the circuit court because this stuff just came out and I'm reacting to it as it comes out, basically. Right. And so that's where we're at. And so she's trying to, just because you know what I'm talking about, right, Travis, how they like to see everything happen all in one bundle. Right. Yeah,
definitely. Judicial economy. You don't want to risk a procedural bar. Hey, I got a compliment on one of my exhibits. And then, so this was exhibit A. But I've got exhibit B here in light of what you just said. Does anyone know what this is right here?
Mm-hmm.
Can you see that, Eric Jose?
Ducks?
In a what?
On a platter?
No, ducks in what? Ducks in a row.
Oh, ducks.
Didn't you just say?
I did just say ducks in a row. I did.
Kathleen Zellner's got her ducks in a row right here. Exhibit B. That's why I said, well said. I have nothing to add to that. You're exactly right.
Okay, so why does this look? Why does it look like you Huts are talking behind glass and what that means? Or why you guys are? I don't know why it looks that way. That's weird. Okay. Zellner just tweeted, found out today that Wisconsin prosecutors want to work with KZ2. They just did not realize it. Thanks, and remember, we are just a phone call away. I love her sense of humor. I really do. The best, for me, this is the one that still makes me laugh the most. Making a Murderer 2 comes out, and like within a week, there's the evidence that MAM2 left out, you know, and you're totally expecting it to be a King Kratz, you know, whatever. And you go and it's KZ talking about some of the things that they weren't able to put in because there just wasn't enough time. I just thought that was hilarious. Oh my God. Let's see here. Zellner, let's see. Okay, so somebody said Hilligas said hi. That's interesting. Shoot. Well, Denise, I can't read anything right now.
What is she asking?
There's a comment by Denise a ways up, kind of. She's tagged me and said, "Read this," and it's Twitter. Oh, I think it must be that tweet. Let me see if it's a tweet. I can look at it real quick. Remember,
while you're doing that.
So yeah, that's what it is. It's the tweet.
Oh, do you have it already?
Yeah, I already looked at it. So, see, I think she's just poking the bear. See what you talking about, Willis.
Let me show while we're feeding those.
Go ahead.
So I got my hands on this today. Can everyone see this? Let's see if it pops up here.
Wisconsin Attorney General playbook.
Yeah, and then check this out. What I found going through it. I haven't had a chance to go through everything. You know, it's the Attorney General playbook.
Charades.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's going to be one in here on concealment.
Yeah, right.
You know, so.
Let's see here. But have they met Youngblood v. Arizona? Seems to me, yes. What do you think about that? How are they looking on that?
Too soon to tell. We will know if we get an evidentiary hearing.
We need the fact finding first? Okay.
Yeah.
That's the answer, folks. We need the fact finding first. Do you think they will rule in the next week?
Let me look in my
crystal ball.
Crystal ball I got just for this occasion.
Depends adult.
I'm still going with my deal that I'm not going to worry about it until it's
40.
41 days.
41, right. That's the magic number.
11 plus 30.
So Jamie Hart says, depends adult diaper sales going to go up substantially in the region with all the people shitting themselves. Let's see here. That's what the tweet says.
Thank you, Holly. I'd forgotten. I remembered roast beef market. This one stayed home.
Yeah. This one went to the market.
And then this one went wee all the way home. But I forgot about market.
I'm from the other side of the state. My town shares a border with Minnesota. Didn't we hear that someone is coming forth for her? Maybe this has something to do with that. Could be. She's got people talking to her. I know she's hinted at that.
Linda called me Travis Williams.
Love Travis's visual explanation.
Yeah, I think it helps.
Okay, so here, let me just put up. Okay, they don't think we saw it, so let me just put it up real quick so that everybody can see it.
All right.
All right. So there it is. That's KZ's tweet, everybody. Found out today the Wisconsin prosecutors want to work with KZ, too. They just did not realize it. Thanks, and remember, we are just a phone call away.
God, that's great.
Hilarious.
Man. So that's really her. She got the verified blue verification deal. She's just sticking that knife in and turning it. She got a sense of humor.
Mm-hmm. All right, there you go. Those of you who are on Twitter can go and like that tweet too.
That's classic. Yeah, obviously she's being facetious there, and
Yeah.
they want to work with us.
Yeah.
Let's not look in that bag if you haven't already done so. Let's wait to look at the bag. This stuff's in a bag apparently. Anyone checked out Mark Williams? How long he's been there or anything? Has anyone?
I haven't had a chance actually.
Any of the Arikose wrecking crew looked at him yet? We will. I'll help them get that figured out if they haven't already done so. But yeah, they want to work with us. Sure, they do.
Yeah.
And we talked about it on December 18th, right at about the 43, 44 minute mark of your video you did that night.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about all of these things being a potential.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Yep.
We didn't know exactly how it was going to turn out and when, but a lot of the things we discussed that night are happening right now. And so we're right at about 2 months from then. So I don't know. From where I'm sitting, Kathleen and Stephen are finally catching a bit of luck. Before this, it's that old blues line. If it wasn't for bad luck, they'd have no luck at all.
Daisy Lady is asking, and I don't know what she's talking about. What do you guys think about the huge evidence dump in Milwaukee when Norm Gahn and Mark Williams were there? And I'm not sure what she's referring to.
Maybe Allie knows. She's on.
If there is an evidentiary hearing, is anyone fair game to be called, or can it be limited by the courts? I think they're going to limit it in terms of what is likely relevant, right?
Correct. And she named, 3 people she wanted to name for sure. So it's going to be Gahn, Fallon, and Hawkins. And then anybody connected to that, the whereabouts of the bones, I think she could, subpoena people from the Whiting Funeral Home to confirm, hey, did you even get these bones? What did you do with them? And then I think she's going to probably try to avoid involving the Hall box. And if she can do that with the Whiting Funeral Home, she'll leave it there. But, if they said, well, yeah, we did receive these cremains and we did get them to a family member, but we didn't handle any arrangements in terms of the disposition of the remains. We don't know. You'd have to ask them. Then I think she's going to do it in a dignified way. But, ultimately, if she had to get that figured out, that's part of what an evidentiary hearing would be, to let the court know they don't exist, they do exist.
Right. Denise or Allie, can you post my email address for Christine Dempsey there? Please. Thank you.
What that previous question may have been, do you remember Kathleen Zellner tweeted about that the crime lab had disposed of a bunch of evidence, not necessarily related to the Avery case, but they had burned or buried or dumped a bunch of evidence. And she tweeted about that. That may have been what she was talking about. Do you recall that or the specifics of it, Eric Jose?
No.
Okay, all right.
They're saying there was an article about dumping evidence by a river in Milwaukee a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll have to look into it. But I don't know enough about it right now to give you guys any kind of an informed opinion about it. So,
Allie, do you know, in that article, I believe I saw you comment on it briefly. Do you know, I don't think there was any discussion about what I think the discussion was about. It's just further criticism of the lab and the way they dispose of evidence. I don't think there was anything that was discussed or mentioned that was a direct connection to this case. When I say this case, I mean either Stephen or Brendan.
Right.
Yeah, dumped from the crime labs. But I don't think there's been anything specific that relates to this case. Am I right, Allie?
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't read the article, but biological evidence is going to be like medical supplies, medical waste, and there's been plenty of stuff over the years about how states get rid of medical waste, and companies back east, they load barges, and they caught on film going back into the 80s, the dumping overboard these barges into the ocean, or even Long Island Sound, all of this medical waste, and people were getting upset in the Hamptons when used syringes were washing up on their in front of their $10 million homes. But
right.
I don't know if the article was talking about the inappropriate way this stuff was being dumped, due to it polluting. There's a lot of really pretty areas in Wisconsin, and I don't know if that was the issue, or to my knowledge, there wasn't any connection that lab evidence was being disposed of in violation of the statute. But it wouldn't surprise me if they weren't handling it in the most ecologically friendly way. The way that stuff should be disposed of, and it's much more expensive, is incineration, because it destroys any nasty bugs that may be present, but then it goes through scrubbers to eliminate the carbon footprint, and it's an expensive process, but that's the way it should be done.
Let's see. Uyghur seems to have had his hand in everything from Brendan Confession, Bones, Dassey's, in the Fox Motel, calls, etc. Main player. Yeah, well, he does. He is. I think him and Tom Fassbender are child abusers, personally. Okay, so anybody else have any more questions about this?
Allie needs for you to say your email address.
I already did. She was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Thank you very much,
you.
Caden. Thank you very much. That's very kind. Very kind.
You're well on your way to a trench coat.
And I like the fact that you used the actual fact that you could type text in there and you could send everybody a message. So I like to see that. So right on. Thank you, Caden.
Yeah, I think you're going to be the owner of a brand new, super cool trench coat. Pretty quick.
Columbo.
Yeah. The brand to get is Aqua Scutum, and they're made in England. They even have the original metal D loops. all of your top detectives wear that, and can't wait to see you in one of those and your VW Bug driving around chasing down leads.
Yeah, you and Paul were having fun, weren't you?
Oh man, it was great.
When he first started talking about the VW Bug, and I was like, oh Christ, I was talking about Ted Bundy recently. I'm like, that's where I thought he was going to be going in some direction like that. I'm like, oh Christ. So I'm happy to see that it was going the way of the Irish monk Seamus instead. I'm happier with that.
Well, I don't know. I'm sure he knows. In the U.S., Seamus, is a derogatory term, and it's the universal term they would say for, any Irish cop. They just would call it, Seamus. It's like Joe Blow, because on the East Coast and especially the Great Lakes area.
Oh, thank you, Julie. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
The cops were predominantly Irish, and it's still that way today in New York. But you'd be a great detective. And
I do want to. It's kind of what I want to go back to school is start taking investigation courses and criminal justice courses and stuff like that. It's kind of what I was hoping to do. And then PI classes.
Yeah, absolutely. You should. Yeah. There's been a lot of many cases where a private detective really broke the case and allowed an attorney to really do something. And, all kidding aside.
Yeah. Hey, Julie, you should have put "this is for the onion rings" in the message. Sorry, go ahead, Travis.
Onion rings? You get onion rings too?
When when her and I did that little video.
Yeah.
We were in a little restaurant there, and I hadn't eaten all day. I was literally starving, and was trying not to cram my face full of food right there in front of Julie because I was literally starving, and so I'm kind of there trying to gently pick at my pastrami burrito, and I ordered onion rings for both of us, which is the thing that both of us kind of tended to eat because we were able to pick it up and kind of eat it without it being too messy and everything, right? So that's why we had the onion rings there or whatever. So she's saying that she owed me for the onion rings. She didn't owe me anything for the onion rings, but anyway, it's funny.
I really enjoyed that video, and the other good thing that came out of, I had to leave early. My phone started blowing up. I had a client with a really urgent thing. I'd already changed into my casual clothes. I was thought I was done for the day, and had to go back, put on my lawyer suit, and head out the door. But we're looking forward. Hopefully we'll get caught up with the motion for post-conviction relief, and things will get caught up with the case, and the three of us can chat about.
Thank you very much, Jamie.
Oh man, Jamie!
Thank you very much, buddy. You're very kind. You're all very kind. Thank you very much. Let's see. Oh, it's no problem, guys. We love talking about this stuff, and I even had people on Twitter that didn't even know I was planning to go live yet, but they were like, "Oh, I know Eric Jose has that. He has that lawyer Travis on his channel. Maybe they're going to talk about it." And so I saw the tweet and was like, "Yep, here's the live broadcast." Posted it for them in response to their tweet or whatever, so that they could find their way over. So, hey, you know, I know how it feels because I'm one of those people that had a terrible fascination. Was interested and wanted to know everything, wanted to be able to find it and all and everything. So I can understand those of you coming in who feel the same way that I felt. And we're happy to be here and talk about the case, especially with all this new stuff that comes out. I mean, today is the gift of laughter. Just thinking of that. Kathleen Zellner has these guys so rattled that this dude called Zellner thinking he was calling Tom Fallon. I mean, that should show you a level of being rattled at this point that mistake happens. Yeah, just, I mean, it gets almost more and more interesting as we go. Caden, if you want to buy a shirt, email me and I have a few left and I'll make sure you get one. They're $15. They're $15 plus shipping.
I agree that he just felt a certain level of panic, and because the two attorneys on the service list are Tiffany and the other lady, and so it would have to get rooted down to them. At least I think. It may still be on the service list from the circuit court case, and it gets forwarded to them. But in any event,
I also think it's an interesting question she poses when she says, by the way, they have told us in the past they have this bone. All these documents say that they've given it away and that it's now human, that they've actually determined it is a human bone when it was only a possible human bone before, right? And so now they've determined it's human. So did they do some testing that they didn't tell anybody about, just like they're not telling anybody that they gave these bones back to the Hall box? So they do something else that we don't know about? Can we find out what the hell happened here? Essentially, right?
Yeah, that's certainly a possibility. If there's enough bone material that it doesn't destroy, it's not all consumed by the testing. I hadn't even thought of that. That's a really good point, because lawyers on both sides, if you have access to, like, it's whether your client will, agree to a polygraph. Well, if we can, we typically always send them to our polygraph expert first and make sure there's no problems with that. And then we send them to their polygraph expert. And in the hundreds and hundreds I've had done, I think I've only had one situation where he passed my polygraph guy, but didn't pass the police polygraph guy. But we went to a third and we got the thing resolved. But yeah, you always like to test this stuff. So, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they tried to get a free test in to see what was going on, because there's really no downside for Kathleen to have the bones tested. The worst that could happen is it comes back inconclusive, or it's too degraded.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Caden. I will go ahead and accept that, I guess. And then you still need to email me though, because I'm going to need to know size, color, and your address to send it to. So just so you know. All right. Thank you. Anyway. And thank you, by the way, everybody, for being so generous tonight. That's, thank you so much. You guys are all very kind.
Hey, so for those, before we go, just a couple more minutes. So for those folks that are in Discord, Falcon designed an awesome Coze Wrecking Crew shirt, and then Denise or Julie or somebody, or Allie maybe, came up with a couple of variations. I know you saw it, Eric Coze. I would really like to petition to order, see if we could get a few dozen Eric Coze Wrecking Crew
You have
shirts
to buy.
made.
What was it? They found a company where they make it and will ship it for you, but you have to buy a certain amount. There was a discussion somewhere on Discord about this. And,
Okay.
So we need to go talk to those ladies who are looking into it, and then that would probably, at least that they've already been doing some research on it. And
Great.
Because trust me, let me tell you guys, the one thing about the Brendan Dassey t-shirts that I didn't expect, that was just like very difficult to deal with, working full time and doing what I do here on YouTube, is finding the time to get the things mailed out. I mean, trying to find the time, and because the post office doesn't run on the best, most friendly hours for somebody who works 9 to 5, because literally they're closed by the time I get home, and they're not open when I get up.
Yeah.
So, this is the problem I was having with these. So it's going to be cool if there's a company that makes them and will ship them, and just, they obviously will get a little bit of a fee for that. But if they take care of that logistics part of it, it's actually quite a boon. Something I learned. So,
well, I'll find out from,
and Falcon's design was cool, by the way.
Yeah, I'll find out from your administrators and whatnot where they're at with that. And I've got a couple of sources that a couple of the nonprofits I sit on the board of, and then I'll get that figured out and see what help I can get them in the right direction. They may have already found something that is perfect, but yeah, no one's got the time to do order fulfillment. I mean, a lot of companies, have gear stores that, it's totally outside order fulfillment and all of that, because it's just really hard to keep up.
Yeah, it is. It is. So let me just address a couple things. Let me see.
Connie's lost.
Rhonda South. I'm not recalling the email right now. If you're not in the country, it presents a problem for me. So that might be why you're waiting. Because what I have to do is I have to wait till I have at least about 6 orders to go to the UK, or about 6 orders to go to Australia. I actually have a bunch of orders for Australia right now. I'm not shipping them at the moment because I plan to maybe be able to get them there another way, possibly. But to see how that works out. But to see how that goes here in the coming month.
You applied for a passport recently?
I'm trying to get my
Seamus?
passport. So, so those may go with me if I go to, if I get my passport. So those in Australia, maybe hang in there just a little bit. If I don't end up going, then I'll ship them out, obviously. So just so those folks know that. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you're in California, okay, Rhonda, just resend me the email. I'll get it out this weekend. There's like some people tell me they want one, but they don't tell me how to get it to them. And so I have a bunch. That was another part of this that was confusing, is keeping track of all the orders, because I was getting orders through email, orders through Messenger, orders through my Facebook page, orders through, it's like nobody was in the same place. And so keeping them all ordered and everything, I was getting a little bit behind sometimes, not logging certain things into my little handwritten notes that I was making to keep track of. Anyway, it just got to be a lot of work and it was really hard to do. So yeah, if Jamie wants to maybe possibly handle that, or if we end up finding a place that makes the shirts, because this place I saw that the girls were looking into, they kind of cater to YouTube creators. It's like they created their company with YouTube creators in mind. so that they would have a way to be able to create easy merch to try to, you know, supplement their channels and stuff like that. So that's kind of what this company was about. So I thought that was interesting. Anyway, we can continue to look into that and try to figure that out. Would like to use Hawkins' design. It was cool. Anyway, so
well, you know, it's a good thing you've been using a pseudonym.
Oh, somebody asked about that as well. Sorry. Yes,
for
go
all
ahead.
these years, because, you know, it's going to decrease your chance of, you know, having been put on the no-fly list for all of these, you know, crazy things you are constantly saying in your videos about all kinds of stuff, like there was no justice in this case.
Hey, hey, look, I'm not the crazy one. It's the case that's crazy. But I'll tell you what, if my friend Mark's able to fly around the world, then I should be able to as well. So okay, so you just reminded me of the one thing somebody asked, I almost forgot. Why I am called Irikoze. Okay, so those of you who don't know the story is I am a very, very huge fan of the author Michael Moorcock. Michael Moorcock has written a lot of fiction. He was the editor of New Worlds magazine in Britain back when in the 60s, when it turned into a science fiction magazine. Did most of the writing for it, became very popular, and ended up going on to write a lot of books and stuff that I just love. He has 4 major characters that he writes about called the Eternal Champion. They're 4 incarnations of basically the same entity or being, essentially, but they're in different aspects of the multiverse. So there's 4 main ones. Of those is Elric of Melnibone, which is the one that many people are probably going to go, oh my god, I know that name right now, because that's the most popular of all of his books. There's also Corum. There is also Hawkmoon, which is another really favorite of mine. Some of you may have noticed there is a commenter that comes on my videos sometimes called Dorian Hawkmoon. That person named themselves after one of the characters of Michael Moorcock. And then number 4 is the one I picked, Irikoze. Irikoze is my favorite of the champions, of the Eternal Champions. He's my favorite. He's the one that is constantly just tossed about through time and space in the multiverse, wherever he's needed to restore order or justice or you know, whatever it is that needs to be balanced. He's like the instrument of the he's the instrument of the balance, I guess you might say. He's the tool of the balance, and he's constantly put wherever he's needed to create, you know, order or justice or balance, whatever it is that's needed. So that's what the whole thing with Irikoze is, and he's always been my favorite, and that's how I got my name. That's why I chose Irikoze for my name on this channel. A lot of people might criticize and say, why didn't you go with Elric? He's way more popular. Because Elric's a whiny little punk, and I hate him. I mean, I love the Elric stories, but he's not my favorite champion. He's whiny little bitch. Anyway, sorry. So anyways, that's basically what I got to say there.
So see the Frank Burns of the Eternal Champions?
He's his problem is he's anemic. He has really, really thin blood. He gets really tired easily. And so without the help of the black sword, which is the sword he carries, without the help of the black sword, he's like pretty much almost an invalid. But when he carries the black sword is in the Michael Moorcock universe, it's a very, very powerful thing. When it's used in battle, it sucks the souls out of the people that it kills, and then it's able to feed some of that energy to Elric. And that's what's able to keep Elric the albino sorcerer basically moving and walking, is because he has the Black Blade, as they call it. Blue Oyster Cult actually wrote a song called Black Blade. For those of you who are interested, you can listen to. It's on their Greatest Hits album. For those of you who want to go check that out. So anyways,
Does it have cowbell in it? Does that song have cowbell?
No, that one doesn't.
It obviously needs more cowbell.
It needs more. Okay, so, well, tell us how you really feel about Elric. Sorry, he is. But I love Moonglum. Elric's companion, Moonglum. Oh, dude. He's like one of my favorites of all the companions of the champions. Right after Yariel Canel. Yariel Canel is like, he's like the equivalent of what Erikoze is for the champion. Yariel Canel is the equivalent of that for the companions. So he's like the ultimate companion who kind of gets tossed to and fro throughout time and space in the multiverse, wherever the multiverse deems he's needed, and he gets tossed about. So, but he's like Moonglum. He's like the companion to the champion. I don't know. Anyways, trying to explain a bunch of things about the Moorcock multiverse that you guys are not going to get. But anyway, I love that stuff. But yeah, I do love Moonglum though. Elric's companion was awesome. He's one of the best. So,
well, Linus Knight's got a really nice comment. He's got, instead of quote comedy unquote, you could put BSing and stress relief in the title. It sounds more inviting. Eric Jose, before we started, said, "Hey, I want to keep the theme tonight light, and if we can, a little humorous." So I hope we were able to do that. By that comment, maybe we achieved that goal a little bit. And then looks like Vanessa had a question that you could probably do, Eric Jose. I think
it sounds like the same question asked over again. Let's see. Let me see if I can read it this time and see it a little differently. How will the courts assess this call? What will they do now with this info to determine the next move? What are your personal opinions? Which way this will go? Okay, so as we were saying earlier, this call is only going to expedite or give further, to create a further, a better possibility that Stephen is going to get his evidentiary hearing. And as I was explaining earlier, the evidentiary hearing is the quickest way to a new trial. That evidentiary hearing, if she's able to meet and say that the state was hiding things and doing it deliberately and all that sort of stuff, then she triggers a new trial. So technically, that's a quick way to a new trial. What she's doing right now is trying to get to that evidentiary hearing. And that's what this call is going to help her do. Now, if ultimately it goes out to this evidentiary hearing and it's not ultimately successful and she doesn't get that retrial, then everything, all the information that's collected goes back and becomes part of the appeal that she's trying to stay right now. And then that way, it just becomes more and more of a mountain moving forward. So it matters. It's what's going to help her get an evidentiary hearing. I hope, I don't know. I don't know if I've answered that any differently than I have before, but I hope I've answered your question this time. If I haven't, maybe try to ask in a different way at the specific aspect that maybe you wanted me to cover.
Let me try. I don't really have much to add to that. I think you explained it really, really well. I've got Exhibit B here again, and what she's doing by letting the court know about the phone call is she's getting that last duck in a row. Good,
right.
Good legal scholarship there. So not to demean your question at all. It was a good question. It's going to add some meat to her argument as to why the only way you can sort this out is to send this one particular issue on the bones back to the circuit court for fact finding to get it straightened out. And you know, and then it'll proceed. But you know, it's not going to delay things by much at all. No more than things were delayed by the computer CD disk. Good question. Hope we answered it.
Yeah. Mr. Steve, I would say that the going abroad thing is kind of a big deal, and hopefully, if I get my passport, I can prove to you why. So.
Oh, he's being mysterious. He got instead of the Wisconsin AG playbook, he's pulled out a playbook. He's pulling the Zellner playbook out. You know, be a little mysterious. You know, hold some of your cards to your chest. You know,
right? Close to the vest.
That's interesting. I just heard a little scuttlebutt that you might be applying for a passport soon, and I didn't figure it was because you wanted to make a day trip to Tijuana,
right,
or Vancouver. But
although I'll be able to do both of those things now,
you sure will. But I kind of envisioned maybe something
for 10 years
overseas, but
yeah.
Now you know. Now I'm really intrigued. So this character Eric Koze, is he British, American, or French?
He would be. You know.
Or is he a man of the world?
He strikes me as American.
Or is he a man of the universe? He's American.
I think starting out, I would say, yeah, in New York, yeah, he was an American. It's an interesting story the way Eric Koze starts out. But
and Mr. Moorcock is from where?
Mr. Moorcock is from Britain. But he talks about Eric Koze being, I believe, in New York when he first gets called out by the multiverse, because essentially after many years of service, Eric Koze gets the rest. And the multiverse sticks him somewhere like Earth or whatever, where there's generally not a lot of conflict, and he's able to just spend some time, just doing normal mundane things and having kind of a normal life without having to worry about the fate of the entire multiverse and entire races of people and whatever, as he's usually thrust into that position when he's being tossed around by the multiverse. So the multiverse will give him these respites. The very first book you start out reading with Eric Koze is The Eternal Champion, and it's talking about this guy. He's in an apartment, blah, 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 blah. And when he's going to bed at night, he's having these dreams and he's being called to somewhere. And then eventually he ends up waking up and he's in that place. And then it goes forward. He's given he's given his blade Kanajana, which is an interesting, it's like a brother of the Black Blade, but it's not black. It doesn't have runes on it. But if you even get slightly nicked by the blade, you'll die. It's like it poisons you or something. It's really great. It's like Michael Moorcock likes to make like interesting twists with the weapons in his stories. So that they hand him his sword because none of them wants to be touching it because they know how powerful it is, and if they get accidentally nicked by it, that they know they're dead. So they're like all handing it to him because they know he's the only one that can handle it safely. It's pretty funny, and he's just getting there like he doesn't understand what's going on. His memories aren't coming back to him because the multiverse also Swiss cheeses his memory, so he doesn't like always have total recall of all of his experiences as he gets tossed around. He only has access to like certain things that the multiverse wants him to have access to. So it's kind of round and round and round again. Like I said, I love that stuff. That's why I'll sit here and talk about it, and I'm sure everybody's tired of hearing about it. So,
Mary Yeen says that Eric Koze is a German name. He's German.
But
in England,
well, he starts out as John Dacre.
John what?
John Dacre, Daker.
Well, the Duke of Edinburgh, more commonly known as Prince Philip or Queen Elizabeth's husband. His name's actually Mountbatten, which is for sure German, but he was actually born in Greece because his family was in exile during the war at that time. But yeah, so I don't know. But why did he change his name?
Well, no, he gets so when he was in New York and in his little, respite period, basically, he took on the name of John Dacre. And he forgot who he was. He forgot Iroquois. He forgets Iroquois completely. They literally make him forget about everything so that he can just spend some time as a normal person and not be burdened by all the knowledge that's really in his head. And so that's what they do. And then when they start to reintroduce him, it's a process of, they weren't calling for John Dacre. The people that are calling for him at the beginning of Eternal Champion, they aren't calling for John Dacre. They're calling for Iroquois. But he's the one getting the message. He's the one who it's coming into his head, and he's being summoned. And because he is Iroquois. He just takes on the name John Dacre when he's in the respite period.
Do you see this comment by Mark? Weird part. Voicemail came into KZ at 9:13, and then she emailed again at 9:35 after receiving the voicemail. Well played, KZ. Well played. I didn't catch that. You know what? He's.
There was some emails attached to it.
I saw that.
Yeah, I didn't get to look into that.
What deeper. The significance of the timing was?
Yeah.
Holly says Zellner on the ball. Sable Hall says, "Damn, I'm late."
Yeah.
Yeah, you've missed a fun time. I notice you have 3 ducks in your little thing there. I've had Exhibit B here.
Those aren't ducks. Those are crying faces.
Yeah. Oh, are those crying faces? I thought they looked like ducks.
They kind of do because they're yellow, but
they're not ducks.
No, they don't look like. I don't. Oh,
they're aren't they crying ducks?
Supposed to be like an open mouth. Ducks. It's like an open mouth, but
this was Exhibit B.
Yes, she's got all her ducks in a row.
Got her ducks in a row. You're going to be. Denise says you're going to be shaking hands and kissing babies around the world on your tour.
I guess I will. Dang it!
Hopefully you'll be over that cough. No one's going to hand you a baby to kiss with that going on. And
sorry,
remember,
Dr. Pepper went down the wrong way.
Well, this isn't true anymore, but Qantas never crashes. Qantas.
All right.
Frozen. Don't know if you can hear me.
Let's see. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, Qantas never crashes.
Qantas never crashes. They actually had a crash after Rain Man. So I guess it's like the Sports Illustrated jinx. He hasn't had an interception in over 15 games. And then what happens? Throws an interception, right?
Right.
Well, I hope everybody had fun. I sure had fun doing this tonight. It's nice to have some positive momentum, and nice to see something that maybe can give Steven a little push, and we'll wait and see.
Whoop. Oh, well, there we lost Travis, so let's cut to Stacy.
let's keep talking about Avery. Yeah, let's keep talking till he's set free. Oh, you just listen.
Thank you, everybody, tonight for your very kind donations. Thank you so much.
Really matter. Put aside the documentary, the state version ludicrousy. Oh, all their claims so blatantly get torn to tatters. I think that matters. I bet you heard about Hoodlak Sweat, but maybe you ain't heard this yet. 19 more times the DNA that was left anywhere else that day. I think that matters. I really do. I think it matters. An ex-boyfriend with a day planner page, and yet they did not investigate. And who knows why, and who can say why he was signed into the crime scene that day. I think that matters. I really do. I think it matters. About the barrel that once was seized, but then returned to the Averys. The bones were found the next day, but not one photograph exists of where they lay. I think that matters. I really do. I think it matters. I could go on listing things off, 80 more things. I just keep on singing these songs till every freedom rings. I said it matters. It really, I know it matters. It could be you, I think it matters. It could be me, I know it matters. Work with Casey, it matters. I said it matters. It really matters.
I ain't strange. I'm sick of this world. I'm sick of suffering. Don't get strange. I'm sick of this world. I'm sick of suffering.
Don't get strange, no, no, no. Oh, I ain't getting strange. Don't get strange. I ain't getting strange. I'm sick of the suffering. Can't stand the pain. Don't get strange. Well, we know the story. Oh, ain't the way they said. We can see later day. They got two Brennan's head. Totally insane. Don't get strange. Everything they got, questionable evidence gathered by Manny Wall, but it makes such sense why they're in the game. Don't get strange.
Dude, that pastrami burrito is good. Oh my God.
Don't get strange. I ain't getting strange.
Thank you for being here, Caden.
And that lying, that cheating, that
The predatory sweaty. Anything he says, you can throw away. He's a legal stain.
Don't get strange. Oh, may we finally find out who's to blame.
Don't get strange.
when you see old Avery locked up and put away to be released, or should he stay alive? Past all his truth. Lies. Past all his truth. So who do you believe? A junkyard dog or the police? One grabbing greasy rags, the other a gun, a badge, a flag. Lies. Past all his truth. But I can't let it be. Can't turn away from injustice, the injustice that I see. Now freedom, I said freedom isn't free. We turn a blind eye the next time. Oh, it could be you or me. Lies. Past off his truth. I said they're lies. Past off his truth. And one more thing we must understand. Sometimes you cannot see the grease in the palm of their hand. See, I have no difficulty seeing how they could frame an innocent man. So please don't say they wouldn't, they couldn't, because they did. Because they can. Lies and truth. Their lies past all is truth. We can, I said we can't let it be. Can't turn away from injustice, the injustice that we see. Please remember that freedom isn't free. If we turn a blind eye the next time, oh, it could be you or me.
Alrighty, folks, that's about it for tonight. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe. Thank you for showing up, and also thank you very much for all the generous donations tonight, all the generous donators. So you guys have a good one, and we'll see you.